Persons of Reddit, what is the best riddle you know that would make someone lose their minds over it? The maker doesn't want it. The buyer doesn't use it. The user doesn't know it. Not the best but a fun one. More than a coffin, less than. What has 4 letters? Sometimes has 9, but never has 5. 2 girls went to dinner together and both ordered iced tea. One girl pounded down 5 of them in about a minute, and the other took her time drinking one. The girl who drank 1 died, while the girl who drank 5 survived. However, all of the drinks that were served turned out to contain poison. Why did the girl that drank more iced tea survive? You leave home, take 3 left turns, and return home. Who are the 2 masked men waiting for you? This one can't be told online but is an absolute brain bender. Eye roll. A farmer has 30 cows. 28 chickens. How many didn't? The answer is 10 because 28 is actually 28. But people have 28 in their heads and have a hard time solving it. One night 4 men sat down to play. They played all night till break of day. They played for gold and not for fun, with separate scores for everyone. When it came time to square accounts, all men had made quite fair amounts. Can you the paradox explain? If no man lost, how could all gain? Tread on the living, they make not a mumble. Tread on the dead, they mutter and grumble. There are 12 men on an island. They all weigh the same, except one. He can be heavier or lighter. This has nothing to do with the solution. You don't know who is heavier, lighter. There is no scale, only a seesaw. You can use the seesaw only 3 times. How can you find out who is heavier, lighter? Edit. Thanks for the upvotes. This thing, all things devours. Birds, beasts, trees, flowers, gnaws iron, bites steel, grinds hard stones to meal, slays king, ruins town, beats high mountain down. What is it? There is a windowless room with only a single door. Inside the room is a lamp. When the lamp is on, no light escapes the room. Outside the room are 3 switches, one of which operates the lamp. You can use the switches in any order any number of times. The door can only be opened once, and after you enter the room you can immediately know which switch turns on the light. How is it possible? 2. I heard a good one. With pointed fangs and in plain sight, my bloodless victims are bound by my bite. What am I? Edit. Anyone wanna try this for a spell? I am heavy forward. I weigh a lot. But when I am backwards I'm certainly not. What am I? Edit. Can do a third and final to stroke your spinal. For some I cause joy. For some I cause strife. Treat me well and I'll last for life. What am I? It is the beginning of eternity. The end of time and space. It is the start of every end. The end of every place. What is it? I love this one because it is so simple, but some people have struggled with it for days. Lol. It works best when spoken out loud rather than written out. Seeing it written makes it easier to solve because the answer to the riddle is contained within the riddle itself. What word begins with E, ends with E, and contains 1 letter, but is not the letter E? 3 guests check into a hotel room. The manager says the bill is $30. So each guest pays $10. Later the manager realizes the bill should only have been $25. To rectify this, he gives the bellhop $5 as 5 $1 bills to return to the guests. On the way to the guest's room to refund the money, the bellhop realizes that he cannot equally divide the 5 $1 bills among the 3 guests, as the guests aren't aware of the total of the revised bill. The bellhop decides to just give each guest $1 back and keep $2 as a tip for himself, and proceeds to do so. As each guest got $1 back, each guest only paid $9, bringing the total paid to $27. The bellhop kept $2, which when added to the $27 comes to $29. So if the guests originally handed over $30, what happened to the remaining $1? It's thrown away when needed most, yet brought back when done with it. 4 men walk into the desert. Suddenly all 4 are simultaneously knocked out. They awake buried to their heads in the sand, unable to look anywhere but straight ahead. They are positioned so that each man sees another's head before him. However, between the first and second man there is a separating wall, so the first man sees only desert, The second man sees only wall. The third man sees another's head and a wall. The fourth man sees two heads and a wall. On top of each man's head is a hat. The underside of each cap is black, but the outside of each cap is either blue or white. Before any of the men can speak, their captors tell them if they speak, they die. However, if any of them can guess the color of their cap on the first try, they can all go free. The captors tell them that there are 2 blue caps and 2 white caps. After a minute, the third man says his hat correctly and they are all free. How did he know? What starts and ends with T and is filled with T? More than T but less than. Totally solvable, but try to do it without writing it down or using outside resources. This is best done strictly verbal. You have a 3-gallon bucket and a 5-gallon bucket and an unlimited supply of water. You must get exactly 4 gallons in one of the buckets, or you will be executed. You have no other way of measuring the water, and no other tools, aside from the 2 buckets. How do you achieve precisely 4 gallons? You have a square house. All 4 walls face south. A bear steps in your front yard. What color is the bear? More than white. North Pole. Polar bear less than. A man is sitting in a chair. The chair is in a cabin. The cabin is in the woods. How did the man die? Clue, he was dead when he got there. More than airplane crash less than. One I used to get my kids on. A plane crashes on the US-Canadian border. Where do you bury the survivors? More than you don't bury survivors less than. Andre and Leo are dead on the floor, naked, and surrounded by water and broken glass. If foul play isn't at work here, then what happened? I heard this on Reddit years ago, but can't find the original comment to credit. Please link if you have it. What's a thing that's large and round, oft mistaken for a hound, known distinctly throughout town for the stench emitted from its mound? Answer, more than yo mama less than. James went skydiving by his house in Utah and, as a result, saved the life of his brother, Jeff. Strangely, Jeff lived in Delaware and hadn't spoken to his brother James in years. What happened? A farmer has a stray dog, a chicken, and a bag of grain he's taking to his farm. He gets to the river he needs to cross to get to the farm, but his canoe will only fit one item other than himself. He can't leave the dog alone with the chicken or it will eat the chicken. He can't leave the chicken alone with the grain or it will eat the grain. And the same rules apply on the other side of the river because the farm is still a few miles away. How does he get everything across the river? Rich people need it. Poor people have it. And if you eat it you will die. I breathe, yet I'm not alive. My licks are never those of love. The more you feed me, the hungrier I become. What am I? What has 4 wheels and flies? I am stiff, I may have a mouth. Though I never talk, I have a million arms. What am I? A man who is mute decides to take a train to visit his cousin for the day. At the station, he sees that a round trip ticket is $1 while a one-way ticket is 50 cents. Without signing with his hands, nor pointing at the price sign, he gives $1 to the teller, who gives him a round trip ticket. How did the teller know he wanted a round trip ticket and not a one-way with 50 cents change? What has it got in its pockets is more than. Riddle me this. More than I'm not playing your games. Nigma, tell me where Robin is, or your next dentist visit will be very short. More than clever for a primate such as yourself. But the boorish insinuations will have to wait, because you must now answer. How much does the Walmart near here charge for bananas? More than what? More than you heard me. The one near my house sells them for 65 cents a pound. But I found out the Walmart in Brooksdale has them for 52 cents a pound. More than, but they're both Walmarts. Why do they charge differently? More than exactly. What is up with that? Is my money worth less because I live in Cedarwood? More than well, Cedarwood is kind of, you know, more than it's kind of what? What are you saying? More than I mean, it's kind of, you know, darker area. More than wow. Whoa, Batman, you know, I thought I knew everything about your brutish ape-like mind, but I never took you for a racist. More than what? I'm just saying, more than I know what you're saying, and it's messed up. Look, just go get your boy Wonder before he drowns at high tide at the docks. I'm done talking to you. Credits to you, Mecha Miniko. There exists a word with L in the middle, in the beginning, and at the end. Yet the word only has one L. What's the word? Simon's dad has 4 sons, March, April, and May. Who's the 4th son? Maybe not lose their minds, but it's a fun journey to take them on. The Lion King riddle. How do you get an elephant into a refrigerator? More than how? More than open the door. Stick the elephant in. Close the door less than. How do you get a giraffe into a refrigerator? More than open the door. Stick the giraffe in. Close the door. More than your close. Open the door. Take the elephant out. Stick the giraffe in. Close the door less than. The Lion King is called a beating of all the animals. Who doesn't show up? More than who? More than the giraffe. He's stuck in a refrigerator less than. You come across a crocodile infested river with no bridges and no boats in sight. How do you cross it? More than how? More than you swim across. Because all the crocodiles are at the Lion King's meeting less than. This one is very heavy on lateral thinking. After giving the opening to the riddle below, tell the other person they may ask as many questions they want to figure the answer out, providing you can answer it with yes, no, or that's irrelevant. A man walks into a restaurant and sits down at a table. He orders a seagull sandwich from the menu. The sandwich arrives. The man takes a bite of it, then leaves the restaurant, goes home, and commits suicide. Why? Your friend is then expected to get the following convoluted solution from their questioning, which from experience people either love the game to figure it out, or loathe how out there the correct answer is. More than the man is a widower whose wife died on a holiday in the past. They were on a cruise when the ship capsized. The man and his wife made it onto a lifeboat with a few other survivors and washed up on a deserted island. The man's wife and another survivor went to search for food, and eventually the stranger returns with a large amount of seagull meat, but unfortunately informs the man that his wife was killed, fell to her death, gored by a boar, or anything else, during the expedition. They eat the seagull, and after being rescued the man returns home alone. In the restaurant the man orders a dish containing seagull meat, and upon taking a bite he notices that the taste is not the same as the seagull he ate on the island. The revelation makes him realize what actually happened that day, and unable to live with the guilt of eating his wife, he kills himself less than. Not really a riddle, but this needs more recognition, comma. There is a photo of a man and you know his first name. That is all. The goal is to find this man. If the goal is to make someone lose their mind over it, I have 4 arms, 6 legs, spit acid, and yet everyone wants me. What am I? More than a liar less than. What is greater than God? More evil than the devil, and if you eat it, you die? Disclaimer. This riddle needs to be spoken, not written. Reading it here will give it away. 2 penguins are kayaking through the desert. One turns to the other and says, "Where's your paddle?" The other replies, "Sure does." From experience, people go nuts trying to figure out why that's the response. Just repeat the whole thing to them while they try to figure it out. The answer is, the first penguin is actually saying, "Where's your paddle?" Trying to paddle a kayak through the desert sand really wears down your paddle. Don't mind me just stealing these for my damned campaign. Lord Macaulay's last riddle. Andnsp. 'Tis a very ugly word, and one that makes one shudder whenever it is heard. Andnsp. It mayn't be very wicked. It must be always bad, and speaks of sin and suffering, enough to make one mad. Andnsp. They say it is a compound word, and that is very true, and then they decompose it, which, of course, they're free to do. Andnsp. If, of the dozen letters, we take off the first 3, we have the 9 remaining. As sad as they can be. Andnsp. For though it seems to make it less, in fact it makes it more, for it takes the brute creation in, which was left out before. Andnsp. Let's see if we can mend it, or it's possible we may, if only we divide it. in some new fashioned way, and instead of 3 and 9. Then, let's make it 4 and 8. You'll say it makes no difference. At least not very great. And but only see the consequence. That's all that need be done to change this massive sadness to unmitigated fun. And it clears off swords and pistols, revolvers, bowie knives, and all the horrid weapons by which men lose their lives. And it wakens holier voices O soar, and now joyfully is heard the native sound of gladness, compressed into one word. And yes, 4 and 8, my friends, let that be yours and mine, though all the hosts of demons rejoice in 3 and 9. What falls but never breaks, and what breaks but never falls? You're on a game show with 3 doors. Only one has a prize. You pick door 3. They show you door 2, which they know is empty. Do you stay with door 3 or switch to door 1? Edit. It's not a trick question, and there is a mathematically correct answer to this. Edit 2. Answer in comments below. You are in a room with 2 doors. Only one leads to freedom. There are also 2 people who look exactly the same. One of them is always lying and the other one is always telling the truth. You can only ask one question to escape from the room. You don't know which one is lying and which one is telling the truth. What would you ask them? You're trapped in a fully enclosed room with no windows and no doors. It is impossible to break through or dig under the walls. The only things you have in the room are a mirror and a table. How do you escape? Answer. You look in the mirror. See what you saw. Take the saw. Cut the table in half. 2 halves make a hole. Climb out the hole. It's not exactly a good riddle because it's the most abstract bullet riddle I know, but it'll probably drive some people crazy.